You have to start or begin the week with a very positive mindset. How are you today? How was your weekend? This is Wake Up Nigeria. My name is Princess Cassie. We're reaching you live from our Srtv studio here in London, the world's capital city. It's a very cold morning here. Don't mind me not wearing jacket. Of course, I'm in the studio and you have a lot of heaters here. How is Nigeria today? We have quite a lot coming in from Nigeria. So many here and there. APDP, APC, that's both left and right. Anyway, I have with me this morning on the show the able-bodied Nigerian you believe Egbe. He is the SSA to the Delta State's governor on media. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Cassie. Good to see you again.
Same here. How have you been?
Fine.
Okay, so what's going on in Nigeria today?
Hardship is going on.
Are you serious? Sorry, I'm laughing. It's quite funny. That shouldn't be funny anyway, but I just find myself laughing because what can we do? We laugh over it, right? That's the only way we can actually survive through it. Anyway, just let's be hopeful to get better. Don't you think so?
Well, we can only be optimistic, but beyond that optimism, we must also be assured. We must also have the assurance that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and to have that assurance, we should be seeing, some elements of lights at the end of the tunnel. So if it is the person responsible for the darkness, for the hardship is telling you there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you who is suffering the hardship is not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, then clearly there's a problem there. So well, but we can only be optimistic. We can only be optimistic.
Okay. Let's just hope that it will be over soon. And then we have so much coming in from our national dailies this morning. What's this seeing? The judicial, the tribunal issues here and there. And a lot of people are still aggrieved, even though we feel this is the right time for, us to give then the benefit of the doubt, to continue to move on quickly, because a lot of people did say we are supposed to, at this point, just keep our fingers crossed and allow them, since we had most of the tribunal issues resolved, we should give them, allow them to do what they need to do so the country will move forward. We are not stopping them, but we let's move to the reviews, and instead of wasting time, we saw also we saw there was a little issue at the at the Supreme Court over appointment of new judges. I don't know what happened there, but I don't think at this stage in life we should be in Nigeria. We should be seeing things like this. It's not really nice. Anyway, we'll move on quickly to the newspaper reviews. Now, these are some of the news we have coming to us this morning, and I'm going to start with the Punch newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Punch this morning. And the main headline here says, Plateau governor's removal. APC PDP clash as appeal court sacked third opposition governor. And the writer says, court orders INEC to retrieve PDP certificate of return. Lalog hates judgment. Ruling party using judiciary to intimidate silent opposition. Now that's coming from PDP, LP, and NNPP. And all the stories are on page 2 of the Punch newspaper as well. We'll have a story here that says service extension. FGO's 600 teachers, 23 months arrears. And that story is on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says inflation jumps 24 times in 25 months, as according to reports. And that story is on page 33 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says, I don't miss presidency much, says the ex-president Buhari, and that story is on page 44 of the Punch newspaper. There's a disturbing story here. You could see the picture story there on the screen that says Israel Hamas UN US condemned school attack. Deaths hit 14,000. A sad one. And there's a story here that says that Deleke Bika backtracks on acting CG APC kicks governor on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Punch this morning. And now there's a major story here. Apart from, we know that there's a little power tussle here, Mr. Billy, coming that has been coming from Plateau over how many weeks now, over the of course the tribunal judgment. But there's a story here that says one of the writer that says ruling party using judiciary to intimidate silence opposition. Now this is coming from PDP, LP, and NPP. What's your opinion on that? Do you really think all this we're seeing from the judiciary, the tribunal, the appeal court, do you think is targeted at the opposition parties?
Yeah, thank you. Um, Actually, my party has answered that question, and in all honesty, when you look at, I've read the response from the PDP, the Labour Party, and the NNPP, and the truth is that the response, especially from the PDP, captures everything that needs to be said. Captures everything that needs to be said, because you you know, using the courts to upturn the will of the people. For me, I really don't know where we are going as a country. Where you have a ruling party, it's so sad that our democracy is really on that thread. And it is so bad that even though it is the same APC government, but we remember how liberal the Buhari administration was, and how we've not forgotten the efforts that the previous administration made, you know, in establishing the rule of law and upholding the sanctity of the judiciary and our democratic system of government. But unfortunately, just within 6 months, all the achievements of the past administration, you know, in making sure that democracy becomes a Nigerian thing, you know, away from how it used to be, making sure that democracy becomes a Nigerian thing. It's so sad that within 6 months, all of those legacies are being destroyed. Like, how do you explain that an election that has been won, the majority of the people of a state decided that this Mr. A is going to be our governor, and they voted him, and he won that election, and he emerged as governor. And because you think you are the ruling party, then you can just influence the decision of the judiciary. Well, I really don't know. I don't know. I think I will just align myself with what my party has said already. We hope that the federal government and whoever is responsible for this anomaly, I don't want to mention it. I just hope, but they know themselves. And I hope that they will respect the will of Nigerians and allow democracy to reign free.
Right.
Nigeria.
We hope so too. And there's a story here that says savings extension, FGO's 600 teachers, 3 months arrears. How do you feel about this? You know, I used to say all the time that teachers, you know, are our teachers are actually I prefer, they are the ones that produces the medical doctor, the lawyers, all of us. And I think we are supposed to uphold them even more, like what they do here in the developed countries. But we see over time that our teachers, there's this back and forth with them. People look down on them, including the federal government. Now look at this story here of FG Owens, 600 teachers, 23 months arrears?
Well, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I really can't speak on what is happening in other states. But I know that in Delta, where I belong, the current administration, you know, has really made efforts to, coupled with recruitment of new teachers and the payment of, arrears of, you know, civil servants and also the pensioners and all of that. So that problem is not applicable to Delta State. I think if we go through that information, I'm sure we won't see the name of Delta State on that piece of information. So I really can't speak on what is applicable to another
Let's
state right now
let's
because
look
of
at it
how sensitive.
generally, right? Let's look at it generally.
Generally,
That
yes,
teachers, we are not restraining this to the Delta State alone. We're looking at
yes,
teachers, and of course, it's something I feel like when something affects one, it affects all, whether or
yes,
not others are feeling it at that point in time. And now look at the way teachers that are supposed to be, upheld in the society, up to now, we're still seeing arrears, lack of salaries here and there.
yes. The truth is that it's a problem we can surmount. And one of the ways is that our government officials at all levels really need to cut down the cost of governance because, you know, I'm sure if we're able to cut down the cost of governance, payment of very, because teachers are very, very important members of our society. And I really do not see any reason why teachers especially should be subjected to untold hardship. So I think there should be a special package. Personally, I think there should be a special package for teachers because the importance of teachers in our society cannot be overemphasized. They are responsible for the foundation of society. So I think there should be a special package. Governments at all levels need to have a special arrangement for the welfare of teachers, an arrangement that will not be subject to any to economic downturn, so that even if there is an economic downturn, it won't affect that package for the teachers. So that's what I've always believed, that the teacher salary, it should be something. I do not even see the reason why anybody should owe teachers, because for God's sake, how much is the salary we are talking about? How much is the salary? So I see no reason why governments at all levels should even have a problem paying teachers their salary. So I think the relevant authorities, they need to come together and arrive at a conclusion. Come up with a concept, an idea on how best to ensure that teachers are adequately compensated at the end of the day. So that's just.
And there's a funny story here just before we move forward to the next paper. The
Yes,
ex-president saying, I don't miss presidency much. Of course, I want to believe that that's the pressure that comes with it, right? It's one thing to
yes,
say, I want to be president, I must go there. And it's another thing, to carry the weight and the burdens of Nigerians.
yes.
Anyway, we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that would be the Tribune newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Nigerian Tribune. The main headline here says a persistent inflation, dollarization of economy disturbing. That is coming from Obaseki, and that story is on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There are quite a lot of stories here. I'm just going to take few ones. And there's a story here that says by next year, Nigeria should be producing enough fuel for domestic consumption. That's coming from the presidency. And that story is on page 5 as well of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. We have a story here that says PDP members protest as appeal court sack Governor Matwan. declares APC winner in Plateau. It is a temporary setback, he says. And that story, it's on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Lagos is open for business. That's coming from Sonwolu, and that story is on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There's a story here that says 7 years after escape from prison, NDNEA arrest wanted Abuja drug kingpin. And that story is on page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There's a story here that says Osun PDP, APC in war over words as Adeleke denies appointment of acting CG. And that story is on page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There is a story here that says 2024, no zoning formula exists in Edo. That's coming from Shaibu. I bet the present deputy governor. That story is on page 23. And there's a story here that says police arrest suspects in murder of police students. That story is on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well as a story here that says Naval destroy illegal refineries crude oil in Ondo. That story is on page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There's a story here that says CGN to inaugurate 58 new SANs November 27 as Supreme Court marks new legal year on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. These are all the stories coming from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Okay, Mr. Billy, there's a story here that says by next year, Nigeria should be producing enough oil for domestic consumption. Now that's coming from presidency, but from what we've seen so far, we're so close to the next year. Not like the next year is like 10 years or 20 years away. How optimistic are we as a people that truly we can have enough for local consumption? Talking about fuel.
Well, like I said earlier, we can only be optimistic because many of us are really tired of answering, the Nigerian question, because it has been promises upon promises, promises upon promises, and I don't know. Maybe until we start seeing all the promises coming into fruition, we can then say, okay, well, they actually promised to do this and they've done it. I will not run to town to jubilate over a promise. If by next year, they didn't give us a specific date. If next year can be December, next year can be November. If it's in January, thank God, it's just a couple of weeks away from now. So if we get to that bridge and we are able to cross it, of course, we will thank God, because what Nigerians are going through right now, trust me, we really don't need promises anymore. We're tired of promises. We need to start seeing results. So instead of promising us that next year, it's better you don't even promise us. Just let us. So I want to say suffer in peace, because why we are not even suffering in peace. Let's just suffer until that time. If we get to that bridge and we are able to cross it, fine. If we are not able to cross it, of course, this is a country where people easily adapt to difficult moments. So I'm sure we'll still continue living until God decides to come and lead us by himself, because we are really, really tired. We're tired. Clearly, we are tired.
And there's a story here that says 2024, no zoning formula exists in Edo. Shaibu says he is best prepared to be the next governor. And now we know that there was a little part or so, there has been part or so between, the governor, the sitting governor, and the deputy governor. And this is over, who will be the next governor of the state. And this coming from Shraibu this morning, that he's best prepared to be the next governor now. What do you have to say about that? Knowing fully well that's your party, right?
Well, it's my party, but of course, we all know that there's a limit to the issues that I can really contribute to, even if it's related to my party. You know, it's an Edo affair. And I really have no stake in Edo politics. I'm not a registered voter in that.
Generally here, let's assume it's a general
Yes.
discussion. This is Nigeria. We're talking about, we're not restricting to Delta State alone, like I said. And of course, we see that the deputy governor has been having power also with the sitting governor, which implies or which they say it's because of who will be the next governor of the state. And the governor is feeling that he's not being loyal to him as the godfather.
Well, these things are not unusual. They are not new. The governors are their principals, you know, having misunderstandings, politically related issues, and all of that. The truth is, I believe that at the end of the day, they will come to an understanding because a governor must emerge. So it is left for the people of Edo State to decide who their governor will be. Every, of course, no politician will relent on his efforts to pursue his ambition, his or her ambition. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is the will of the people that matters. So I hope that the people of Edo State will make the right decision. You know.
We hope so as well. And then we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that will be the Daily Trust. And these are some of the stories we have coming from the Daily Trust this morning. We have here as the main headline that says job racketeering ripples at character commission over reps deployed reports, delayed report, I beg your pardon, delayed report. And the writer says integrity, commissioners allege plot to kill reports. We are in Sambisa, rendered redundant. This is coming from the FCC directors. Allegation baseless, commission's chair. Our probe reports on the going routine legislative process, and that's coming from the reps, Nigerian reps member. All these stories are on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Media Trust goes in search of missing radio tower. And that story is on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Appeal Court sacks Plateau governor. 3 other PDP lawmakers on page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we saw a story here that says uproar over Sanwo-Olo's 3.75 billion naira perfume rechargeable funds. That story is on page 17 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Niger boat accident, 9 bodies recovered 4 days after. That story is on page 13 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Nigeria UAE flights resume soon after 14 months. Resume soon after 14 months. That's coming from the federal government. And that story is on page 23 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, these are all the stories, or rather, some of the stories we have coming from the Daily Trust this morning. But there's a story here that actually caught my attention. There's an uproar over, Sanwo-Olo's, purchasing, rather buying, 3.75 billion perfume rechargeable fans. What's your take on this?
Perfumed rechargeable fans. What does that mean?
I think there are fans they put in offices. When the fan is working, the perfume starts having. Okay, I think we're having issues with network issues with our guests there. Hopefully, we're going to have impact. And then I think there must be an uproar because in a government when we say there is no money, there is no money, and the next thing what we do is we buy so much expensive things. what about cutting down, cutting costs? I just think that some of these are our politicians, our lawmakers, our governors. They can actually just, for a while, not just, how sensitive, insensitive can you be? Like, you buying this kind of stuff for your comfort or for the comfort of the people around you, your cabals or your crews, forgetting the ordinary man in the street. And so I feel like actually buying this, spending so much money, of course, why that is why the news says uproar. What are you expecting? That there shouldn't be uproar? I don't think that we actually, Nigerians cannot keep quiet. We know Nigerians very well. And of course, definitely there will be uproar. And that is why you see that a lot of people are now, left and right, issues here and there, trying to debate it, why the governor shouldn't have, purchased something that expensive. you know Rechargeable funds, funds that are rechargeable. When maybe when they have light issues, the funds will come up. And then when they come up, as they're working, playing around, perfumes will be coming out. We're having network issues with my guest, and hopefully we're going to have him back. I just think that, with the way Nigeria is right now, we shouldn't be having this. We shouldn't be, purchasing such things. It will be unfair on the common man. It's unfair. Not it will be. It's actually unfair on us, the common people. When you go to the streets today, like my guest did say a while ago, allow Nigerians to just suffer their suffer. Don't add to it. In as much as we don't know what to do, people are tired, but they cannot fly, have wings to fly away. They don't know what to do at that point. You adding to their stress or to their already, a lot of people are not able to even eat the 3 square meal, 2 square meal. It has gotten that bad. And then you see our lawmakers, you see our senators, our governors. All what they do is today you sit here on the news. It's actually so sad that I come here to read news like this on daily basis. You were buying these expensive fans for who and for what? For that whopping amount of money. And then you say our economy is bad. The previous government, which is actually your government, APC government as well, did left empty treasury. And then, but we see so much money here and there. I just think our state governors, they can actually do more. They can do more than what they're already doing. Let's even leave the federal level. Let's go down to the state where the people are. I think the governors are actually the problem of the people. Because if I read a while ago that federal government is owing teachers, so much salary. How can the government owe so much money? 23 months, that is over a year. And then why will I go and be teaching somebody's child? I won't go, because it's as if you squeeze money from somewhere and you use it to pay transportation, inconvenience yourself, your time. Who does that? In a developed country, such a thing can never happen. And I keep saying it. And then you are buying fans. Can't those people, your office or anywhere you tend to use these fans, can't they stay in the heat? Of course, or work on your electricity to have more light. And of course, we even have people go to Lagos Teaching Hospital, where we saw a doctor actually died on the lift because it wasn't working well. These are some of the things they should look into, not actually coming to use our money for trivialities or for lifestyle that we cannot even talk about. And we didn't see the presidency. He's not even missing. How can you miss it when the pressure is so much? And then there's a story here also that says Niger boat accident, 9 bodies recovered 4 days after. It's really sad to know that. We live in a country where, when we talk about the waterway, the water transportation, it's so sad that nobody actually look towards it. The Ministry of Transportation or Works, what are they actually doing with the water transportation or waterway? It's sad. People, we did talked about that on this show some time ago. people just apply, enter, go through water, transportation, means of transportation, of course, enter the boat, enter a canoe without a life jacket. You that you're paying to be transported from one part to another through a boat, through water, ask for a life jacket, because I want to believe that it's not everybody that actually ply the waterway that knows how to swim. And so, what if something happened for me? I will never enter into water to say, okay, I'm going through waterway. I don't think that is okay, or that is nice, or that is right. And I want to, this actually should actually be a call to our, the Ministry of, Transportation, Ministry of Works, to make sure that they focus on that sector very well. People just buy, I feel like, okay, I have the money to, go into this business. I can, buy canoe that can carry 200 people. And have you even seen the way they load people? Apparently, maybe that space, a seat, a line is meant for 2-3 persons. You see 4-5. And you know that you don't need much weight on top of the water. Then what are you supposed to do? Especially look at this very sad news that says Niger boat incident, 9 bodies recovered 4 days after. This is sad, and I think we should look into that as well. And of course, appeal court sack Plateau governor, 3 other PDP lawmakers. My guys, they say, this is, a move to truncate democracy, to silence the opposition, and of course, to make, the country unbearable for the oppositions. I can't say, but, the decisions of the court will always be the decisions of the courts. But regardless, I think in a country we need a strong opposition. You cannot actually run a government without the criticism of the opposition government, because you're just then doing what you like. Nobody talks about you. Nobody criticizes you. You will not move. You will not. You will not make headways. And so I think oppositions are supposed to be there, and they're supposed to be very active and strong as well. Not just being there, but active as well. And so if we're saying you're running a government without opposition, or you're trying to truncate democracy, or try to silence every opposition, that will not be nice at all. Now, these are some of the stories from, the Daily Trust newspaper. We move on quickly to the next newspaper we have. And of course, that will be the Vanguard. But before then, we'll go on a quick break. And when we return from this break, we are going to continue with our reviews, and hopefully then our guests will be back from having Nigerian network issues. We'll be back after the break.
Are you a filmmaker in Abuja and its environ? Do you need a place for your music video, or you need a venue for your conference, and even an editing suite for your post-production? Look no further. Our beautiful turret in Lokugoma has it all. We have a whole floor that consists of 3-angle lounge, a beautiful dining area, a large kitchen, a conference area that can comfortably accommodate 60 persons, and 5-bedroom adaptable for all kind of shoots. The good news is all is available at affordable price. And you know what? If you are a member of the Association of Movie Producers of Nigeria, you have 20% discount. So what are you waiting for? Hurry and contact us on the numbers on your screen now.
Hello viewers, you're welcome back from that quick break. This is Wake Up Nigeria, and I'm reaching you live from our Srtv studio here in London. We've gone through measures of the papers this morning, and of course I'm still having network issues with my guest there. I see him going off and on. hopefully is going to be stable again. And then we move quickly to the Vanguard. This is some of the stories we have coming from the Vanguard this morning. And the main headline here says Supreme Court's rubble in judiciary over nomination of justices. Names of the FJSC's list excellence. Professor Akinseye George San. No cause for alarm, and that's coming from the NJC and CJN. All these stories are on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says inflation. Declining demand triggers 20% fall in food. Beverage production on 27, page 27 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says state of the nation, what Tinubu will force us to do. That's coming from Bode George. That story is on page 14 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Plateau Appeal Court sacked Governor Mutwag, declares Gashwi winner on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says why I want to succeed Governor Obaseki. That's coming from Shaibu, the now deputy governor. As well, we have another story here that says 4 years after Magu opens up, says corruption, Nigeria's greatest problem. And that story is on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says terror war. Niger remains member of multinational joint task force. And that story is coming from High Command on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then on the spot decks here, we're seeing a story here that says sack Pesero now. Nigerians kick after another poor outing by Eagles. That story is on page 39 of the Vanguard newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Vanguard this morning. And of course, there's a story here as well that says there's a story here, rumble in judiciary over nomination of justices. I don't know why we're grumbling, why we're having issues, but we did say that on this show some time ago that I think the nomination, what is the criteria for this nomination? And if truly they followed the process, the criteria, why are we not having the rumbling, coming from the nominations? That means something actually is not being done properly. And if we are doing this to people actually say the executive arm, the legislation should actually stay away from that process. I think maybe that's what we should do, and to make sure that we have a fair nomination and fair justices that will come out and do the needful, not those who will be under somebody, under pressure from power that be. I don't think that would be good for our economy. And there's a story here that says, we have another story here that says inflation, declining demand triggers 20% fall in food and beverage production. Declining demand triggers inflation. You see, people are not able to produce. The high cost of maybe production materials, the high cost of transportation. Just imagine, we're talking about food here, and how can a country like Nigeria and this year be talking about food? Now we see that even people, the prices, let's say even local production, right? You can say, okay, I'm traveling to Benue to the north from the south to get tomatoes, pepper, and then only the transportation cost alone will even make you that is selling not to go, because how much will you get at the end of the day? You putting your expenses on top of your capital. You might not even sell up to that, and that is why people are not actually, we're seeing the 20% fall in production. and of course people are not able to produce because maybe they don't sell up to, the resources they've spent so far in production, and that is another problem we have. And then we're talking about, there's another news here that says corruption. you know Magu open up says corruption Nigeria's greatest problem, as if we don't know. We know, of course, that that is Nigeria's greatest problem. Corruption, corrupt leaders, corrupt people. People might say they are sincere, and the moment they assume office, the moment they go into that office, the next thing, we start seeing things that shouldn't be. I don't know how difficult it is for, when you assume an office, you're supposed to think outside the box. You're supposed to do something different. You're supposed to, like, okay, this is something, okay, I'm in this office. They have been doing like this, is not working. Let's try this. You don't assume office and the next thing you rely back on what people did. And you say, the predecessor did this and I will do that. If it didn't work, it's not my problem. No, it's actually your problem. These things are on record. In generations to come, they know that Mr. A actually held this office, and at that period, this was what happened. And so I think Nigeria should think about, the integrity, think about the integrity you leave behind in that office, rather than just waking up, going into an office, squandering Nigerians' resources, money. Look at some of these ministers. We read the other day, one of the ministries that are 2 months after, no policies, no agenda, nothing. The minister has not done anything. So what has he been doing? People assume office and they do nothing. Corruption, you will see that they are holy, and the moment they assume that office, that is it. They change, they just change to be something else that we don't even understand. It's actually so sad to see that it's actually sad to know that people just wake up, enter an office, and they start cutting away with money, thinking about themselves and their family alone without other people. Anyway, there's another story here. But before that, we even move on to the next newspaper. That story is on Sport Dex, so I'm going to talk about that when we get to the Sport Dex this morning, and then we move quickly to the Guardian newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Guardian this morning. We have here as a main headline that says, the big story says, Lagos others caught in fiscal recklessness amid huge legacy debts. And that story is the major story, front cover there. And then you can see states, you can see the picture there, the picture story there. And there's another story here that says, concerns over Tinubu's flooring of appointments reservers. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Mogu breaks silence after 4 years, X-ray corruption war. And that story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. There's a story here that says, Rivers, Bayelsa oil communities lament neglect, failure to implement PIA. And that story is on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Guardian this morning. We've seen others before from other papers. And then there's a major story here that I really want to talk on before I quickly move to the sport, that says, Rivers, Bayelsa oil communities lament neglect, failure to implement PIA. Rivers, Bayelsa oil communities lament neglect. It is quite touching and it's quite disappointing as well. And most time when you go to these oil producing states or communities, especially in Bayelsa, you could see the neglect. You could see how disturbing the areas look like. You could see even the water they drink. You could see the roads. You could see their institution there, the schools. It's quite painful and shameful as well. There was one time I watched this documentary where you see a community in Bayelsa, Delta State. you see the river was actually engulfed. The river was overtaken by, these oil stuff on top of the water, and the fishes were all, fishes were a lot of fishes dead, wasted on the water, rotting. It was an horrible sight. And then this is somebody's community. That is the water they rely on. That is the community they rely on. You, except you want to chase them out of, the community, they already their ancestral homes. I think it's quite disturbing to know that the same people producing the oil, they don't have much to show for it. And I don't think in a developed country it will be like that. But maybe when we now start looking, maybe the states, that's where our governors, our states comes in. Maybe when we start demanding, when we start knowing that, okay, this thing belongs to us, let's take charge of it. What are the state government doing? If a community is lamenting now on federal government, so what are the state governors of such communities doing to make sure that this is looked into with a matter of urgency, as a matter of urgency? It's actually very painful and shameful that you could see communities coming to tell us at this point in time that neglect. I've been there. I've been to some communities, oil producing communities in Bayelsa and Rivers as well. Look at Ogoni cleanup till tomorrow. So much money spent in that. Some people will still sit on top of the money, and nothing is being done, and the whole place is messed up. Human beings actually live there. How can these people? Let's even think about their health. Is it healthy for them? Well, it's quite shameful as well. And then we move on quickly to the sports paper this morning. And then Super Eagles, Super Eagles, Super Eagles. What is happening with our Super Eagles? I don't know what's happening with our Super Eagles. But on my show later on today, I'm going to be coming with two able Nigerian sport analysts on Inside Nigeria. Let's look at the sports sector critically. I don't know what's happening with our sport. I don't know what's happening with the Super Eagles. Nigerians are calling on calling on the sack, that the Pesero should be sacked. Do you think Pesero should be sacked? That's the question this morning. Of course, I'm not in love with football. What would I say? I'm not a fan of football, but all football lovers in Nigeria are actually very angry, and they're calling on Super Eagles coach to be sacked. And because they say that Super Eagles face to fly again. What is happening to our Super Eagles? They have refused to fly this time around. And the main story here says what 2026 World Cup qualifiers, Zimbabwe won, Nigeria won. That is a draw. And the main headline here says, shame, Super Eagles, shame. Shame, Eagles, shame. Now, Nigerians are actually shaming, Eagles. And forgive us. It will be Beck's fan. It will be saying we should forgive them. But how can we forgive you? This is not a mistake. This is not something you can go back to undo. It's been done. It's been done. And then how can we forgive you? These are some of the issues. And there has been an uproar. I've been following them since yesterday. I have seen some of the comments, and everybody feel like they should leave. Again, as the Eagles have refused to fly, the coach should be sacked. But do you think, sacking the coach is the problem, or the team itself? And that is where I have the confusion. And that is why today on my show later, I'll be coming with, sport analysts to talk about, what can be done. We saw that Lesotho came to our home, and we were even, it was a draw. And now again, Zimbabwe. So what are we supposed to do if we continue like this? I feel like it's the energy you start with that you're going to end with. And so when the energy is not there and we're not doing much, I don't know what we're supposed to do at this point in time. But maybe our sport analyst later on my show later can now tell us, some of the things that can be done. Not like we'll not be saying it, but we'll keep saying it. And to see that, the Super Eagles do more. Mikel Obidi says something while they asked him a question to the media the other day that, why is it that when they grow in Nigeria and they go to their different various clubs across the globe, When it's Nigeria's turn to play, why do we see things like this? And somebody will always say, Kenneth, my colleague, will always say, you don't expect somebody that is expecting so much money from their club to come and play in Nigerian league, and they injured and they are now benched or sit at home and they are not able to earn that money. So they are more concerned about their clubs, their foreign matches, rather than home play, the home Super Eagles. And so should we not look within? Should we not look within, our local leagues and produce people from there, even eventually in the future, that's still going to whisk these people away to foreign clubs. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to be having somebody to speak on that later on my show today. And these are all we can take today. Pardon that apology. My colleagues were not able to make it here, but hopefully tomorrow we are all going to be here to make it more exciting. And my guest, actually see my guest up and down there, but the network is actually freezing and it's quite sad. But yes, we start the week on a positive note. We cannot be sad now, right? This is Monday, and of course, we start the week with a very strong and positive energy. And so that is how the week will end for us. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for being my guest today. Of course, tomorrow, hopefully, it's going to be better than this, obviously. And of course, while you're out there, remember to follow us on our social media handles. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and X, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube and hit on the notification bell so you get alert when we are notification. Of course, when we are live, and invite somebody to the page. Make sure you share this to your friends, to your people, and leave us with your comments as well. And don't forget our Srtv packages. We have a travel tours. We book your ticket to anywhere in the world, local and international. Even those that are willing to come here for education or whatever, we're here for you, just a call away. And of course, we have our renters as well. Cameras, lighting, editing suits. We have everything just a call away as well. And of course, we have, our magazine for as low as 30K. You can showcase your brand, your products, your ideas, goods, and services to the world. And also remember to, remember our production outlet. All you have to do is just walk in. Everything is there for your use. You just walk in with your crew and you start shooting. Everything is there for you to use. Just call us and see that amazing and beautiful place, amazing offer as well. It's a Monday. Keep a positive attitude and remember that peace is priceless. And so let's always give peace a chance as you go out today. Be positive and, of course, put a smile on the face of somebody today. You don't know what others are going through. It's very hard for everybody. But please, let's always know that we can move above this time with let's love one another. I'll see you again on the show tomorrow. I remain yours truly, Princess Cassie. Bye for now.
Are you a filmmaker in Abuja and its environ? Do you need a place for your music video, or you need a venue for your conference and even an editing suite for your post-production? Look no further. Our beautiful turret in Lokugoma has it all. We have a whole floor that consists of 3-angle lounge, a beautiful dining area, a large kitchen, a conference area that can comfortably accommodate 60 persons, and 5-bedroom adaptable for all kind of shoots. The good news is all is available at affordable price. And you know what? If you are a member of the Association of Movie Producers of Nigeria, you have 20% discount. So what are you waiting for? Hurry and contact us on the numbers on your screen now.